Hello and welcome. What a wonderful time to be speaking today to a company that specializes in signal processing software. There's a little bit nuance there, and it's important to talk in detail about that. We'll talk about it, but here's the global picture. There is tension around the world, tension on our borders, India's borders, and a lot of effort being made not just in defense but around electronics and the way it can contribute to India's defense systems, India's everyday security needs. So, to talk about it, we have two people to detail some of the opportunities and talk of the big picture. Satya Gopal and Avinash Reddy join us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for talking about it. The big picture first. India's soft and software power has been making waves around the world for a while. There's ample opportunity of what's happening around with that software. You guys bother more about the specialized software. Tell us about that big picture, please.
First of all, thank you for taking time to talk to us. You see, India positions itself from a very strong standpoint as a services software hub globally. Transitioning from that, the softwares what we use in the defense segment are more specialized, not only in the defense segment, especially in the electronics segment, are more specialized where we also have to focus a lot on signal processing as one. Now there's a lot of algorithms which are getting added into it and a layer of AI which is getting added into it.
How do you see it, Avinash?
So, okay.
Yes, I think the speciality that we have, the signal processing software, as Satya mentioned, India played an instrumental role in the world's software industry, and we have the talent pool, we have opportunity, uh, but the specialized software when it comes to electronics, signal processing, uh, there is there was a gap. Okay, I think we are filling that gap, and India as such, a lot of other industries, academics, they are also filling the gap.
To add to what Avinash has said, very interesting transition which is happening in there is a global transition. AI is a fact of that. The entire intelligence is moving towards software. So AI is the intelligent part of it. It has been running, it's running on servers, computing, and computing was there, is there, it's becoming better and better, but the intelligence is getting from a software layer. So a lot of systems, if you see, take for example the present war scenario, a lot of new tech is getting used. Drones have come in, satellite communications are more intense now, UAVs have come in, and new electronic jammer systems have come in. Small assets, strategic assets are destroying these complex assets. How is this happening? The brain behind all of this becomes the core software. So software becomes the brain of the entire system. So if you see, over time, hardware is getting to get to be a commodity, and software is the layer which is defining what hardware should do. And as a in a system of systems or a network of systems, software is the one which is going to actually play the critical role in deciding, getting intelligence, and also taking decisions on what to do.
So that gives a very good lead into the next question, that such specialized software has immense business applications. Given the current scenario that we are in, again, as I said in the introduction, around our borders, in the security systems, and in the global scenario, how do you see it?
Interestingly, if you have observed the technology evolution in defense, earlier, defense and space used to be the pioneers in creating technologies, and those technologies used to evolve and come into the other segments like healthcare and automotive, all of that. Now, the roles have reversed. So, there's a lot of evolution in the other segments in terms of the AI, software, automotive, all these robotics, all these technologies have to be adopted by defense. So the nature of defense cycles are longer because of a lot of regulatory framework, a lot of certifications, all of that. And it is going to be like that. So the compression is happening from that standpoint. And now defense have to adopt all these latest technologies to innovate and deploy in the field. So if you see from this perspective, everything in terms of intelligence, what has to happen on field will be correlated with software. So now there is a lot of work which we'll have to do to get these technologies into defense as fast as possible. And one of the biggest challenges is, as these are systems which are going to get deployed, you cannot look at it as just the software piece of it. You need to look at it from a system point, which is a marriage of a very strong hardware and a very smart software together. So that's also a special expertise. Okay. So hardwares have to be conceptualized. Some parts of hardware has to be conceptualized to make it more um, adaptable in the field, where the software will create the brain and intelligence and make it to adapt. And someone has to marry these two very strongly. So the scope for this is, the potential for this is immense. And we are in a segment where we are having all the latest technology access available, and development of these systems with this new technology access is going to give a lot of power. So it's going to be electronic intelligence, where the smarter systems will win wars. The smarter the systems are, they are going to win wars.
So Make in India assumes a very different meaning then, does it? With, while it was essentially coined for the idea of manufacturing, but here we're talking software which is lending intelligence to the hardware.
Yes. I think, yeah, manufacturing has multiple meanings. Yeah. I mean, you cannot have a system today without software, right? When you produce or manufacture something, that obviously is going with some software. So I think it is, I mean, that's the fact, and all of us know that. What I feel is, yes, there is it is not just the hardware or the factory floors that need to work and build hardware. And there is a lot that we should do on the software side, right? So where we, like, for example, if you take the electronics intelligence part, right? The hardware is evolving, and the software has to evolve at a pace much faster than the hardware, much faster, in fact, right? So when we say make in India, it is not just building the hardware or producing it numbers, but also building the software that works with this hardware and works with multiple such systems, like systems of systems, networking those systems, right? It gets more complex, right? Uh, if you have, for example, one hardware system located in one place, okay, you could have intelligence about that region or the capacity of that system. But imagine if you have thousands of such systems spread across the regions, right? And how do you infer the intelligence or the information that is gathered by these systems? So the hardware alone as a unit is going with some software. And on top of it, when you integrate these systems, you have to build much more capable software, right? High performing, high computing with a lot of intelligence, right? And to get the meaningful outcome of these systems that you have spread in the region. So I think, yeah, Make in India push is there, and it should be there for both hardware and software. And I think we cannot see those two things as separate things anymore. But what we are good at and what we do as a company, we cannot see them as two separate things. So it's hardware and software together.
But that also means that this is big capital expenditure game, or this could be big capital expenditure game. How does a startup like yours manage it, or companies in this space, how do they manage it?
Very interesting question. You see, we are very different, especially the hardware companies or the system companies in electronics are way different from the regular e-commerce market. So the nature of doing business, both from a business standpoint as well as a technology standpoint, are completely different. First thing when we started, let me give you a quick short story of our journey. So we are just about to complete 8 years. Defense is a long-term game, and defense also needs deep pockets. Okay, so when we started bootstrapped. We had our share of issues like all the startups, and we had to start from a small 2 BHK. That's how everyone starts, and built a fantastic team. Started focusing on signal processing software. We put all our funds into it. Let's say me and Avinash take for example. So we put a lot of our funds into it. In fact, everything whatever we had, our entire savings, whatever we have worked before, we have put into it. Things didn't work for the first 1 year. So there was a point where we wanted to give up. Main problem was the finance. So finance plays a very crucial role. What we did differently is we had an option to deviate, whether to focus on some other things which will earn us quick money, or to focus with what objective we started as a signal processing company. It took us 3 years, 2.5 years to become profitable. We were bootstrapped. After that, till seventh year, we were bootstrapped, grew year on year consistently, and we were profitable. So one of the things, we managed our cash flows extremely well. We were very frugal. That is one key factor which you need to worry about. The team, the team and the processes what you ensure to develop these high-end tech products becomes one of the very crucial factors. You need to retain your team, and you need to attract as well as recruit the right team members, because this needs a combination of maths, physics, systems, domain expertise, algorithm expertise. Now everything together. These are all correlated now. So you cannot have people. I mean, you cannot lose people who are good. And luckily, as an organization, we are able to maintain an attrition rate of less than 2.5% over the last 5 years. 2.5% in a smaller crowd is a much bigger percentage, much higher value. So I would say focus on technology, balancing technology, people, clients. These are three key important things to balance: technology, clients, and people. Along with that, ensure you have a strong focus on sales. And you would need, as you are growing, you would surely need your cash flows, your banking support, and work on that. As technologists, sometimes we get carried away with the technologies what we build, but it's also important to balance the other side.
Oh, yes. So getting the people right, if because he mentioned about that, what was that critical factor that you keep the right people and which helped you grow to this stage?
Okay, that's a favorite question. uh, but before that, just to add to Satya's answer, like when we had the tough phase, when we started, uh, we had actually we moved to a very smaller place. We had no money to even pay salaries to the team. But apart from whatever we have done, the team support, okay, even our core team, they worked with us for almost 5 to 6 months without taking any salary. So I think that that's something you need. It is not just you and co-founders, not just that, but the core team that is with you, that trust. I mean, the trust they have in the technology and the founders, that, okay, I'm not earning now, but someday I'm going to get it, right? So that helped us. So one thing we have been from the day one, we are very, very clear is on the culture of the company. I think to your question of how did we keep these people together, right? And with us for so long. So we gave, the day we started the company, we had, before we even started, we had our vision, mission statements that everybody does, but we also had to put the core values. We have put the core values together. And when we recruit people, okay, we wanted to make sure that those people have respect those values, right? And I think that is one of the key things where we didn't just randomly get people who are good at technology, but also are aligned with our vision and with our values. So I think that is one. And we also talk about it very openly, uh, very regularly, consistently with the team about the feedback, right? How are we doing? Not just on the business and technology, but also among the people, what kind of issues we have and how do we improve and come over those things, right? I think these are the things that helped us achieve that attrition rate. I think we are now at a phase where we can take bigger challenges, bigger risks. Uh, I think that is helping us in taking larger steps now.
So, Satya, the small steps, right set of people in the team, what did it help you build as disruption in the company?
The earlier journey, what Avinash was explaining, when I mean, we literally, I mean, if you understand the Hyderabad geography, so I call it the premium place is called Banjara Hills, and the economic place is called Amirpet. So I would say we moved from Banjara Hills to Amirpet within 6 months of starting the company. Okay, that is the best phase. If you look at it, that is the best phase, I would say, of Constelly. That made the foundation strong. That's where we learned to become independent, to be profitable. Those are basic foundations of any business organization. I think that made us a lot focused on the tech what we were developing, and we wanted to grow organically to a certain extent. Once we became uh, when I say organically, we still grew 100% year over year for 3 consistent years, and this year also we might do that, almost more than 100% growth this year we might do. You see, we started with something called telemetry receiver. So telemetry receiver is imported. Okay, so till that point of time, telemetry receiver was imported either from France or either from US. Okay, there are hardly standardized IRI standard telemetry receiver available in the market. Globally, there are 4 or 5 players majorly. We are the first company in India, designed, developed, manufactured in India, and we are very proud to put that made in India when we did that. Deployed more than 20 systems on the field. So it acquires data from the missiles, it acquires data from the aircraft. It's a complete system. Of course, core intents is the algorithms part of it, but it's a hardware and software piece together. And then we moved on to, once we became better in these, we moved on, that's communications. And then we moved on to a segment which is in the electronic warfare, both in the radar and the electronic warfare segments. We built complex simulators, again, the signal processing for it, where we had to merge very complex computations, which take huge computational power. And we developed very complex, high fidelity wargaming and mission simulators. So that's one of the key achievements, I would say. So we developed a key software piece and then moved on from there to attach the hardware piece. There is one very interesting technology called high agile signal generators. Okay, very fast switching signal generators, extremely useful in electronic warfare in terms of the jamming applications, in terms of creating an realistic scenario of electromagnetic field in the war scenario. We manufactured that in India. There are hardly 4 companies globally who did it. Till 40 gigahertz, we manufactured that. I mean, it's in our office now. Okay. Then we moved on to field applications, where now everything in the warfare is mostly about drones, anti-drones, drone warfare, electronic warfare, all of that. So we made a payload which can be a radar jammer in the field, which can be mounted on a drone to counter drones. And we also made a microwave payload to simulate decoys, multiple different types of radars, and we flew it. We field tested it successfully. So these are some of the technology evolutions which we have done. And this year there is something very interesting coming, I would say, both in the satellite segment and also on the UAV and drone segment. We are going to release something towards the end of the year or early next year. Uh, can't disclose that, but something disruptive, again, something for the first time, it's getting developed in India. So we are going to launch it this year.
So, very interesting point that you mentioned, that both of you mentioned about the opportunities. Now, the field trials will have to ensure near zero mistakes. How does this obsession for excellence get transferred to the team which is building the software? Or I would say the layer of intelligence.
You see, first of all, it's not just about the software. Software, yes, we are building, we are going to build, and we started with software. So now we are developing the entire systems. Okay. So you see, defense is a long-term game. So you need to be here for a very long term, and you need to prepare for that. First of all, it's to do with your approach on what's your approach in terms of development from the design, from the board till the deployment. Okay. We established a very robust process, and we are continuously improving that as an organization. And we keep ensuring that we give enough importance to the testing segment of it. Okay. It's not just the development, it's also enough testing segment of it. And now coming to people excellence, right? Uh, Processes can be established, everything can be put in place, infrastructure can be put, but people are the one who will define the outcomes. The team is the one who will define the outcomes. It's not a single person, it's a group of people working together as a team. Uh, you see, as Avinash mentioned earlier, we strongly value the importance of culture fit to Constelly. That is one point. And I feel we have good amount of people who are extremely passionate. What we are doing today, we are directly serving to Indian Defense Forces, okay, who are working so hard at the borders, okay. What best we can do is do whatever it is possible from our sides, okay, to ensure that we contribute and do our bit. That's a very strong motivation, not just for me, but a lot of team members, okay. I'll give you a quick story. You see, Operation Sindoor happened, and we had no part to play in Operation Sindoor, okay. So our um, as soon as the news, I mean, everyone is aware of the news. Till then, we were doing a marathon of long work hours, okay, for our product developments. And we just thought we will take a break. Okay, it was in the month of May. We just thought April we all packed up for the financial year, after the financial year, and in May we thought we'll take a little bit of break. But immediately when Operation Sindoor happened, we are not directly participating in that, but the team came back and the team told that we can do these pieces. We have these pieces of tech. Let's pick up something quick, and we can do these pieces. If it is required, we should be in a position to contribute. And that's such a motivation. It's not driven from our side; it's driven from the team. A lot of the strong team leaders, the team members, and incidentally, all the managers took a decision that voluntarily they will cancel the leaves for the next 3 months because we don't know what's going to happen. We need to be ready with whatever support we can do. It can be a small thing. Okay. I think that's a very strong convergence towards a single vision from a team standpoint, which drives excellence. So the standard pay scales, the standard structures, processes, they deliver what they are asked to do, but they go beyond delivering and ensure that it also meets the final objective and do more only if they are excellent by themselves. And as a team, I think they have done it multiple times and we keep doing it. I think that's what is one strong piece, ensuring the entire organization is working towards a singular vision. This year, this financial year, one of the meetings, what we were discussing is how do we take our team members and put them in borders and let them experience a couple of days the life of a soldier. It has nothing to do with our products, but we want them to experience and ourselves to experience just a couple of days to see the value what our soldiers bring to us and the value what we can give to them by creating products which are extremely easy to use. There are some things which cannot be taught; they have to be experienced. So this was one of our dashboard discussions in our brainstorming meetings. Take the entire team in batches, put them in some border for a couple of days, let them experience the exact same lifestyle.
So, Avinash, I can see youngsters, of course, and some of the experienced people. What are the challenges of working with some of the youngsters and the relatively older and experienced people?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have probably very experienced in terms of number of years and maybe even varied levels of experience, let's say 20, 30 years, uh, reporting to probably a 10-year, 5-year experienced people as well, right? So it it is different, of course, uh, and I would not say it is challenging, but I don't want to put it that way. It's a learning for us and for everyone. I think that that's common across any industry. When we add people to the team, we take care of this part. For example, if you're interviewing a very senior role, okay, as I mentioned, there is a casual round where we just understand the person more. How would that person behave with somebody who is new, just out of the college, Gen Z, whatever, right? And how would they behave, right? Do they encourage their ideas or no? What have, if so, did they do it in their previous organization? So we do check these things, right? And for the newer teams, it's not just like, I mean, at least we are also young, but we are not like Gen Zs. So we when we started our careers, work is like everything, uh, at least for me and Satya. And but now it is not just work. You need work-life balance. You need very good-looking office, because the outside defense is not glamorous. Right? Defense where you have to go to the field in the sun, in the rain, or you have to travel to the remote places. Okay, and without mobile phone, you're disconnected from the world, and you have to work on something. It's not as convenient as you work for, say, Deloitte or Microsoft, right? So, but you have to uh, manage, uh, and people draw comparisons with their peers, friends, colleagues. Uh, you have to give them something that is unique, okay? Uh, and as Satya mentioned, the motivation for all of us to serve the nation itself is one of that unique factor. And we also try to do a lot of other things which attract new young talent. And we also have training sessions, okay, on how do we manage people, uh, how do we encourage collaboration irrespective of your experience and age. Okay, these are some things we do to make sure that we are all working together as a team without any those differences. But we get to learn a lot of smaller things which are funny, and they also bring a lot of vibe and energy to the environment that we all work in.
So, the okay, you've completed, and then I'll ask.
You see, on a lighter note, uh, a few of the practical instances, what I would say is uh, most of the new uh, Gen Z people or the new engineers, I would say, are very comfortable using the internet and coding. That's how it is today, in today's world. Defense doesn't work all the time like that. You don't have the privilege of for all the things to work from the office. You have to go to the field. There are some things which you have to do it in confidence, okay, only at some secure places. So you give them a laptop without any internet, you ask them to code, it becomes very challenging from scratch to code. We fix that. I think it's impossible, but we fix that. Okay. But one very beautiful thing what I have personally observed is this generation of young engineers uh, very clear in what they want. They want work-life balance for sure, but they are very clear in what they want to do. If their objectives are aligned towards whatever vision they are targeting, I think they have very good commitment levels too. So I have seen this happen again and again with good amount of people,
Yes.
with us at least.
So, in couple of sentences, how would you describe the culture at Constelli?
In a very short sentence, I would like to summarize Constelli's culture as I think Constelli's culture is about balancing people, our customers, and our technology to ensure growth and disruption and create impact. So all these pillars balanced very well uh, is what I would describe Constelli's culture as. You can put all the different pointers under this umbrella, I would say. You cannot balance if one of the leg is not maintained well or managed well. You cannot balance that. Okay. People, both internal, external, are important. Customers, even who we have delivered, it's very important for us to think about them in future also. Government uh, projects in terms of especially defense projects when they are deployed, if they are moved to a different site, they take time to go to a different site. They are deployed again in a different site. They might need support. It doesn't work like a regular system where they need a support on an emergency system. We can't sit and say it's not in warranty, I'll not give support. It's our Indian forces. We'll go and give support. Of course, there is a business aspect of it, but customers are important. So we need to understand their objective. We need to ensure we meet their objective. Okay. And our team is important. And at the same time, technology is important. All these pillars balanced together in the direction of growth, creating impact and disruption is Constelli's culture.
We emphasize on being empathetic about the customer and customer needs, and about the peers and colleagues as well.
So, the next question and wider question is India's defense exports are booming. How does Constelli look at identifying the select few opportunities that may be good enough for you to make an impact?
Uh, you see, one is about the exports, but before I answer the exports part of it, I think there's a huge potential in domestic market itself. Indian defense ecosystem is booming. Okay, the requirements. I mean, it's there globally because of the present geopolitical scenario all over the globe. Uh, in fact, we have a huge requirement for domestic systems, and it's the same for the exports too. Coming to the focus segments, we are pivoted to electronic intelligence as the segment, and we have matured already few products which we have developed over a few years, and from there we are taking derivatives, okay, to ensure that our product focus remains stable. And in terms of the electronic warfare, so we are already working on some electronic warfare receiver parts of the receiver system. So we are going to evolve into uh, a manufacturing a complete electronic warfare system. That's one. I'm talking of a wider spectrum in the next 10 years. And apart from that, electronic warfare has different flavors to it. Okay, so we are focusing one segment from a receiver standpoint and the other segment from a anti-drone standpoint. These are the segments which we are going to focus. There are few specific technology pivots which we have done when we are doing it. Now, if you see the nature of the warfare, you are fighting, and all these electronic systems are in the drone, in the UAV, and now getting into satellite also. So, some of the concepts what we are making are in the building process are very small in terms of the size, weight, and power requirements, as well as more smarter in terms of the algorithms, and they are form fit for different platforms to come. It's a We are moving towards a universal sensor based systems which are software defined and can fit in multiple different platforms. That's where we see Constelli fitting in perfectly. In the next few years, you will see more systems coming from Constelli. So that's where we are heading towards. And one more interesting fact to that is one of the systems, we are starting with one, we might replicate it with more. One of the systems what we are conceptualizing is a completely next generation system, which is a uh, which is a sensor of sensors. In very short term, I cannot divulge more details of that. We are investing very strongly into that and planning to invest more heavily into that, which is going to be a disruption in the next few years to come globally. Then we will jump the R&D cycle to ensure that we are ahead or we are coming equal to the technology terms, where we can proudly say that uh, in the next 10 years, in fact, before that, I'm pretty much sure Constantly will be delivering some systems to the US, which is for the first time, some technology evolution, and we'll make it happen. That's what we are going to focus on. Three major segments, as I said, communications, and specifically focused on the things what I mentioned, and then electronic warfare. So in electronic warfare, again, anti-drone is one thing which we are going to focus on.
We are trying to understand the wider and the bigger picture. Defense is a long-term game, as you were saying a little while ago. So Avinash, what about the payments? That is, cash flow can be a little lumpy for investors. And if you can look at some of the listed companies, which seems to indicate that.
I think there is a that connects to your other question. I mean, in one sentence, I think there is no problem with the payment cycle as such. But the problem is, as you asked earlier, there is no room for errors or mistakes, right? The requirements are stringent, but because the systems, the lives are at stake, right? That is why the requirements are stringent. So what you build must meet the requirements. That is where the cycle gets stretched and your payment get delayed. Probably that's one thing I feel is contributing to the delayed payments. But once you meet the requirements and customer accepts the system, then I think payments are very fast. In fact, we have recently got one payment within like 20 days of our invoice, right? So
I think
yeah,
it's a myth that
yeah,
government, at least defense, we can talk for because we have experience with that. It's a myth that the payments get delayed with government or at least defense.
there is a process, but the process takes a certain amount of time. It's not like forever. There is maybe 30 days, 45 days at the max.
In fact, it's the fastest with government, at least defense. It's very fast. You get it within 30 days. Max, it extends up to 60 days or 70 days, not beyond that. When you work with private, it's different. If you're working with private, in fact, there are more challenges of getting payments a bit more delayed. But with government, and as Avinash said, focus on the quality of deliverables, deliver it on time. If that is ensured, I think it is taken care of. You need a bit of capital for sure, because advances, not everything will you get in advance, and that too needs bank guarantees. Uh, so you need a strong cash flow and banking support for sure. But apart from that, if you do your job on time, I think payments are good in defense.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear. At least that must be music to startups. That there's quite a few startups are now collaborating with India's defense system. Would you like to talk a little bit about that and how that is creating a different opportunity for a company like yours and maybe other startups?
Yes, definitely. I think India is going through that boom of startups and naturally in defense as well. And there is a lot of encouragement uh, in terms of multiple things: mentorship, investments, uh, technology mentorship, right? And also uh, on many fronts, okay? And from the policy side, right? There is a lot of support to the startups, and in the defense as well. Uh, we are encouraged, startups are encouraged to solve some of the complex problems through various programs, uh, funded, and and there are many programs like IDEX and I don't
Aditi.
Aditi Technology Demonstration Fund from DRDO. There are many programs actually, and each of these tenders and RFPs that come out, they have specific clauses for startups. So the ecosystem is good. The policy is supporting startups.
The pace at which change is happening, we were talking a little while ago, that is too fast, tough for people, institutions to keep up with that pace. So what could be the potential disruptor or something that induces change, which could be a challenge for companies like yours, or even for an opportunity that is created in the market?
You see, as I mentioned earlier, now the uh, tables have reversed. The technology is flowing from the other sectors to the defense sector, which used to be the other way around earlier. Uh, you see, by the time a technology gets matured, qualified, and deployed, a complete change of technology is happening in the commercial segment. So, which is way ahead, okay, which has a very strong technical advantage compared to the things which are deployed. So, the need of the hour, if you have to keep up with this evolution of technology and still ensure that you keep developing, delivering, and deploying systems much faster, you need to have a very strong agile system in place. And one thing is an agility as a team and org structure and your how you are structured from a tech standpoint, and also agility in terms of the collaborations too. So we have done good collaborations. I would say, in fact, to startups and even the large companies or MSMEs, I think in today's world, collaborations are the only way to get to bigger systems much faster. You cannot be an expert in everything together. Work on and focus on the few segments and ensure that you are working towards a bigger objective and get those things together to ensure that you deliver a system. So I would say work on your piece, whichever is the focus, collaborate as fast as possible, get the systems out to the market as fast as possible. Use the experience which is there in the commercial segments, get them to work in defense.
One question about innovation and the fire in the belly kinds. What fuels that fire in the belly? Failure? Sometimes a disappointment, some order not coming through, some deal not coming through. Can you share an anecdote?
Um, a very interesting question. I think I can think of a lot of stories in my head. Uh, I'm just trying to see which one to choose. Uh, you see, uh, the fire for sure comes from one of the points what you mentioned is failure. But yes, of course, failure. As I said earlier, uh, when we moved from, I mean, from day one, we were in Banjara Hills, like a fancy place. And then in 6 months, we were almost on road in Amirpet. We were working in Cellar. Okay. Uh, th- that context is considered as a failure. Okay. But I think that is the fantastic thing what happened, because those are the times which built constantly, where the foundation is very strong in terms of you experience tougher things. I would say you become much prepared to handle and predict and also get prepared that you don't end up at those places. And even in case for some reasons you end up, you know how to come out of it. So I would say, of course, failures. And we also are working in a high tech segment where technology just doesn't work as easily, just like that. When we make something, multiple times there are some improvements which has to be done, and it doesn't work first cut straight away. It takes a lot of effort. Sometimes the answer doesn't come for months together. That's the nature of the segment what we are in. And it is okay, but don't give up. And The strongest reason what is fueling all of it, the passion is we want to be the next biggest innovation defense company globally. From India, for the globe. If you can think of one company which is an innovating company globally, go and ask in US, do you know of any Indian defense company? Okay. Now things are changing a bit. We want to be one of those first companies globally to be known. And all the ingredients are there in India, in the Indian ecosystem, to do the most advanced technologies. That fuels our passion, and failure is one ingredient in that. And our stories of the team, stories of perseverance, the stories of struggles, and so many failures, and then learnings. It's a beautiful experience to share. So I think that fuels constant.
So, Avinash, is that innovation, is that hunger for building that global brand, is that the legacy that you'd work or together you'll work for Constelli to leave behind?
Yes, innovation in everything, right? The quality of the systems that we develop and deliver, the quality of people, systems include the technology and everything. So that is something we want to leave our customers and the users the impression with. Okay, so when we deliver something, yes, it works, there is quality, and when we interact with a Constellite, they find them very reasonable, and they like interacting with the people for whatever reason they do, right? And adding to Satya's, I think failure, failures, mistakes, they're all there. They all fuel the innovation. But one thing I think we have to be very mindful about is the opportunity, right? Without an opportunity, you cannot innovate. Let's say you fail at something, then you have that motivation that overnight I have to do something. Okay, I want to work on this. I have to solve this problem. But let's say you were not given the opportunity, right? So I think you have to give opportunity to the teams. You have to give yourself an opportunity to work on it and come out, right? Innovate and make it bigger. And you should also convince your customers to give you that opportunity. And fortunately, I think that is there, and we have to encourage that. Otherwise, you leave that there. Though you want to do it, you want to innovate, but there is no opportunity. You keep it there and you move on to something, and we don't achieve what we want to, right? So creating that opportunity is uh, very critical for innovation.
So, thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking up the time for this conversation. Thank you indeed.
Thanks a lot. I think it was wonderful talking to you. Very interesting set of questions. Uh, I think thanks for giving an opportunity, like Avinash said, to express ourselves and to communicate.
Thank you, Ashutosh. It was nice interacting with you. We liked it. Thank you so much.